So let's just start with this slide here. That would explain the general principle of the DDC. So you have a manufacturer, an owner-operator, and for example, you buy an electric drive, but this could also be a valve or whatever equipment we use in our production plants. The first thing that you have to do is to globally uniquely identify the equipment to be able to assign information to it unambiguously. And therefore, we developed together with many partners, also including Flowserve and Amazon, but also companies from all around the world, the IEC 61406 identification link. So you see here a QR code with a frame and a black triangle and also an RFID tag. That is basically what we standardized across the industry, and this identifier is based on a web domain. So therefore, when you scan it, the first functionality would be that you directly can jump to the web page of the manufacturer. But this is the functionality that we only use in case that we don't operate the platform. So the second technology that we have is the intelligent documentation from the manufacturer. So that means we not only receive a PDF file with any further information, with the PDF also comes the metadata. So who created the document, to which equipment does the document belong, what type of document is it, what is the language revision. So all the typical information you need to be able to find quickly a document. And this is also to become an IC standard. So we just handed in the work item proposal, and in January we will then officially start to develop out of the existing specification then also an IEC standard. So, and what we then did is that we included as one metadata into the metadata of the document the content of the QR code. So that means the string of characters that you have in the QR code is one of the metadates. And for the first time now you have a real connection between the physical equipment that you operate in your plant and all the information to the equipment, because it can be found with the content of that QR code. And this is basically the big magic that we did, is to combine the digital information in a way with the physical product that you always will be able to find it. And to have here a convenient access, we are using so-called information exchange platforms. So ShareCat is here today, and they are providing such kind of platforms. This is very important because the platform itself must be independent from the manufacturer and also from the owner operator. Why? Let's take my company, BASF, as example. We have more than 3,000 suppliers. I assume Exxon, Shell, the other ones, Chevron, they also have thousands of suppliers. So it will not be possible to get the information from the suppliers platform because there are too much. And what we also tried is that we said that, okay, then we make a BASF platform and everybody has to upload it there. But the suppliers said, look, we have thousands of customers. We will not be able to serve all the different customer platforms. So therefore, it was necessary to have a few independent platform providers that give you the technology, and the manufacturer can freely choose which platform he wants to use. And it will be available for the owner operator by just using the application of the platform and scanning the QR code. So that is the DDC concept itself. And now I jump to the slide that you just showed in your slide desk. Why it is so important to use these platforms. So what we all experienced in our careers is that the typical way how information is handed over is from one stakeholder to the next. So that means we have an equipment manufacturer. He provides his documentation maybe to a package unit supplier. And what he has to do is he has to create some folders and store the information somewhere. So he always have handling efforts and also quality losses, because maybe he put one file in the wrong folder, he renames the file and cannot find it anymore. And this is what we see every day when we are dealing with documentation. The package unit itself, supplier itself, then later hands over the information to an engineering partner, and the engineering partner in a bigger project maybe has hundreds of thousands of documents. He also has to create some kind of folder structure, store the information. Maybe he splits the documents, renames them. So a lot of effort and also the risk of quality losses. And in the end, when the information comes to the owner-operator, well, we do the same. We create folders, structures, rename the files, split them, whatever. And this is also a huge effort on our side. And in the end, when we have, for example, a maintenance contractor, we will provide some of the informations to him. He also will have to store it. He will also have quality losses. So this is a huge amount of work and multiple copies of the same information that we create. And if there is an update of information, then this structure has one big problem, is that when the engineering partner would not be available anymore because the project is finished, maybe an update of information does not reach the owner operator because the package unit supplier maybe don't know who is the owner operator of it. So therefore we said that does not make any sense. And we went on and used the IEP concept. So that means the first one in the row, he places the information on the platform, and everybody who has a stake in the topic will have access to it. So that means we don't copy the information and send it to each other. We have it on one central location and we just provide access to it. And we use the metadata to easily search and find the documents. And an update will be instantly available because as soon as it is published on the platform, everybody will have access to it. And even if the engineering partner leaves the project because it is finished, an update still will reach the other stakeholders. And when you're in the field, in your plant, you just scan the QR code, and with the IEC ID, it is very easy to find and access the documentations. And this is what we now use in our large capital projects. So we are building currently a huge site with more than 30 plants. And this is what we use starting in the engineering phase and what we will use till the end of operation of the plants. And this is what we actually do with our partners together, because you need to have enough companies participating and using the same technology so that it gets self-accelerating. Good. And that were the 2 slides. Any questions?
That's great, Christoph. That's a fantastic presentation, by the way. Thank you. Good work.
You're welcome.
Are you back? Okay.
Nick has a question.
Oh, Nick.
Hi, yes.
Yeah.
It's kind of a silly one, but what are the contingencies if you cannot scan the QR code? If your equipment is old and your QR code is defaced, what's your backup?
So what we typically have in the concept is that there might also be an RFID tag that is more durable from the perspective of that it gets scratched, etc. Then typically on the equipments, you regularly do maintenance. So whenever we see that the nameplate has some scratches, marks, whatever, then from most of the manufacturers, you can get a duplicate of the nameplate and replace it. What at any time you also can do is that you create your own tag when you see that the original ROM from the manufacturer is no more working. And that could be a QR code, that could also be an RFID tag. And what we also have is a combination of equipment and function location in our ERP system. So that means when we're in the plant and maybe the nameplate is not readable or scannable for whatever reason, you still have the function location tag that you can scan, and then you see what equipment is related to it. And typically what you can distinguish between whether it is maybe a pump from Flowserve or KSB that you will see directly. So you also can access the information over the function location and see what equipment is built in. So that is what we typically have, multiple ways and backups to ensure that you can access the information. But what we typically have is this combination of QR code and RFID tag. And by the regular maintenance, we see if some of the tags are destroyed, then we just simply can replace it.
That was a good question, Nick.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Okay, shall I add in 2 examples?
A live demo quickly?
Yeah, I could show something in the systems live, how we use these kind of techniques, I would say. Yeah?
Yeah.
So I would show maybe two things. One is more related to the story that you said about how much effort it is to get all the data. So there's some possibilities what we can tell our suppliers how they should do it so that they can provide the information in a standardized way, so that we can extract the information easier to the platforms that we need, like the ShareCat platform, for example, trace parts. It's a lot of effort to get all the information from the suppliers. And if we are in contact, for example, with suppliers, we tell them, use the technology that is as standardized as possible. And there are outside standards that they can rely on. For example, we have here a manufacturer for electric plugs or other electrical installations. And I would tell the valve suppliers very similar things. So they set up their data catalog 100% according to standards, and they can provide asset administration shells, which are a standardized format of the information structure. It's very technical, yeah, but the engineers, they don't have to worry about that so much. What we can then have, for example, is here an easy switch between language. I switch to German and everything is now in German because Air Stahl has provided it in a standardized way. We have a lot of attributes. You see here, for example, width. Width can be anything. But when I click on the width, there's a lot of like meta information of that attribute that helps us in using that in our data systems. And a chance of using something like this, for example, there's a ID somewhere or data specification IEC 61360. That's the type of reference there. That helps then in making things that we rely on to provide the information for our engineers and get a fast track of that information. So that's one example. And the other one, I think, is maybe even more interesting. And I will show that maybe on the slide first. So here's some impressions from some industry fair where we were just taking some pictures of all the suppliers that can provide these QR codes already with a black triangle. And one of our suppliers is Laser safety valves. And they create the documentation of a valve out of their ERP system with the press of a button and in a standardized format. And they can push that to the platform. And on the platform, the most important part is that not only the documents are there with all the metadata, but also with structured information and an object which represents the valve, the single valve. And in the platform, it will then look like this. Take some time to open. And there's some metadata coming with that, some documents that have all the title, for example, what's it about? And that comes out of the system 100% standardized. And very interesting with this unique IDs that they provide. So this QR code that the manufacturer is providing, at the same time, it's a link. Yeah? So the ID that the manufacturer provides is at the same time a URL that can direct to the serial number based information on their website. And this allows the suppliers then to provide even further information. So when I open this, Laser having a portal where they identify now the serial number which is connected to that. And they dig out the information from the ERP system. Take some time, but then I can click on web services and they can provide me anything related to that, like spare parts, for example, and so on. And in the future, and technology is ready, yeah, we can establish then some links, for example, some connections between the systems to get, for example, some updates by the suppliers. Yeah, but that's what we are working on together with the suppliers at the moment, using the technology that is out there available. And these platforms, they help us a lot in getting these technologies out there. And we all know how difficult it is to get the projects executed and hand over the documentation. And then you get a bunch of files and you don't have the information available. But we want to have at least this identification link. And with that, afterwards, you can still build up a lot of that information that might have been lost during project execution. And same during engineering. You can also use it there, get the information from the suppliers through the platforms or by the suppliers themselves, and use that in your engineering with a very clear view order. So try to make this a little bit
more tangible.
Tangible. Right. Thanks.
Carl, thank you.
That's good.
So what I posted into the chat is a video of one of the valve manufacturers that are members of the consortium. I don't know, Annabelle, if you maybe can run the video. I hope it is the English one. And that shows how they implemented this DDC concept in their production.
You can click on it.
Can you run it?
I can't see that side window.
Oh, you can't see it? Okay. Let me.
Yeah,
Or
so the
try
link
it.
is in
Yeah,
the chat.
Yep.
It's a
Mhm.
YouTube video.
Yeah.
Look at ours. Yeah, so expense is better. So expense is better. QR code and.
Yeah.
What do you just say? Good. Good, fantastic.
Sorry.
So I just see, unfortunately, it was the German video. I will send you also the English version of it. But what you can see is they already implemented in their production.
Yeah.
So they use it internally to trace their products during the production process. And at the same time, it serves as global unique identifier for the owner operator when he needs access to any kind of information. So, and this is already state of the art at many valve manufacturers. So Flowserve in Europe is providing it. We have Samsung valves. Yokogawa is also providing it. So there are more and more companies, laser safety valves, for example, Schneider valves. So this is accelerating a lot because it is very convenient for the manufacturer, and this is based on their web domain. They have their own benefit because when you scan it, you go on their web page. And for us, it is just a global unique identifier where we can access the documents.
That was good. Good stuff. Jamie, we've got a sub-team, or we got a research program on supplier qualifications. That ought to be a qualification. Can you do that? Okay, let's go here with the slideshow. We're almost done, guys. This was just showing what he did. This was the slide showing what Siemens has done, something similar.
Yeah, so that is what you actually can scan and check yourself. So when you take your private smartphone and scan the QR code, then it will lead you to the page that you see here in the middle. And this is basically their digital twin. So you have all the certificates, all type of documentation that you need. And at the same time, that is marked here in yellow, it is the link to the asset administration shell, where the digital twin is available in a computer processable format. So that means what you mentioned, actually, this typing manually is no more necessary, as you have it here in a format that is machine readable. And maybe some interesting news, as you're based in the US, the OPC Foundation just signed a collaboration with the Industrial Digital Twin Association that you can use OPC UA to create an asset administration shell. So that means it is now much more likely that Europe and the US will go for the same data format, as they are now interoperable with each other. Yeah, so that has just been signed, I think, 1 week ago or 10 days ago.
Very good. Thank you, Christoph.